Hello and well, let's try that again. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Random Shit, Random Guys. Always, I'm your host, Phil. Let me get a drink of this uncold water. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was so unprofessional. Going to start again. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Random Shit, Random Guys. Always, I'm your host, Phil, and we are back for another wrestling episode of the podcast. I guess they're all wrestling now. Next week might be a little different. We may have a guest on. Keep an eye out on our social medias for that, as we might be having guests that I've had on Random Shit Random Guy before when it was just a straight up comics podcast. But he's a huge wrestling fan as well, but he's got a comic book to promote. Not going, fuck it. I may be having my buddy Bob on next week. Bob has a Kickstarter out right now for, let me get the name of his book. Didn't plan on doing this, so it's on the spot. But yeah, Bob has my buddy Bob France might be here next week. He has a Kickstarter going on right now for his book called Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, about a time traveling tomato going back to fight crime. So check that out on Kickstarter. I'll put the link below. But yeah, Bob might be here next week. Not 100% on that one, but that is the plan as of right now, is to have Bob on. You guys may have noticed last week we did not have a podcast, and that is because I had a lot going on with life last week. It was a rough week. Don't want to get into too much detail, but just everybody out there, just kind of keep an eye on your mental health, and yeah. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, I want to thank everybody who has currently subscribed to the podcast. We passed the 1,400 subscribers mark this week, and I do thank you guys so much. It's crazy. 6 months ago, if you told me I would be at 1,000 subscribers, I would have told you, yeah, you're fucking insane. But now we've passed that, and it's just so, it's a blessing. And I thank you guys so much. If you guys haven't yet subscribed, what are you waiting on? Hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we're live again. And more importantly, if you haven't yet, give us a thumbs up on this video. Thumbs up goes a long way. If you give us a thumbs up, it helps other people find us. I don't know if we're eligible for hot points, but if we are, give us some fucking hot points. Whatever you got to help us grow as a channel, because when I grow, you grow. The better I get at this, the better you guys can be a part of this. So that is my goal, is to make this a better experience for everybody, and I want people involved. So if you're in the chat, say hello, pop in, all that good stuff. Speaking of things that I want to get people involved in, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. We have a huge event in the area coming up in just a couple weeks, called the Super Bowl of Wrestling. That's right. The Super Bowl of Wrestling takes place Saturday, August the 22nd at the Corbin Arena. I cannot be more excited for an event than I am for this one right here. I have a huge wrestling event, and a huge independent wrestling event, what is being deemed as one of the biggest wrestling events in the state of Kentucky. This is one of Kentucky's first all wrestling conventions. And as you can see by this graphic, there is a ton of people going to be there. We have a main event between my favorite tag team in the world, FTR, taking on the Good Brothers for the 7th time. This is the best of 7. This one can determine things moving forward. We also have guests in the house: Teddy Long, The Godfather, Tatanka. We have so many people that I can't even name them all. Current guys from the WWID program all the way up to, we got some of the awesome former divas from WWE. We have so many people. Check them out. It's at Sorry. You can find them at AMW or amwrestling.com. It's at the bottom of the image right here to get your tickets. Tickets are going very fast, so make sure you get those. It starts with a convention during the day. A lot of these guests that is on the screen right now will be at the convention, so make sure you get those tickets. Come meet your favorite superstars and stick around for a night of wrestling. Where else do you get a convention and a wrestling show in one event? You don't want to miss out on this. Like I said, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling from the Corbin Arena in Corbin, Kentucky, August the 22nd. One thing you do need to know is this is a paperless ticketed event. You do have to buy your tickets before getting there. And if you don't, you're still going to have to buy them online. So get those tickets online. More information on the Appalachian Mountain Wrestling YouTube. They have new shows every Tuesday. Also, check them out on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. They're everywhere. So Appalachian Mountain Wrestling. Do not miss them out. So that is my plugs for the week. Hopefully, and my plans is hopefully we will have Mr. Marty Clay on. He can join us and talk about this in the coming weeks. Maybe even have Appalachian Mountain Wrestling General Manager Lemon Juice Jones on, and who knows who else. We are reaching out to the guys on this show, and we are really excited to see what kind of event that they put on in Corbin, Kentucky. Like I said, I am a huge AMW fan. They have a huge show this week at Drifters Bar in Ohio. Like I said, again, more information on tickets at Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, so check them out on their own socials. Like I said, I am excited for that, and that takes place on August the 22nd. But the main thing I want to talk about this week, let's just get into it. Actually, before we get into the card, you guys may see I have some comments about I guess, how can I put it? I have comments and thoughts on Redemption. But before I get there, I want to talk a little free agency talk. The first round, according to Fightful and Sean Ross Sapp, the first round of... I share my screen again. The first round of WWE free agent releases are finally available as of today. And the list includes the Motor City Machine Guns, Kyrie Sane, Santos Escobar, Zoe Starks, Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, Eric Rowan, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, and Bo Dallas are all available as of right now. That's right. They could show up on any television show. You could see them on TNA tonight. You could see them on AEW on Sunday. You could see, and I'm not spoiling it, but I think you're going to see the Motor City Machine Guns show up next week in Detroit on Dynamite, unless they show up at Redemption to promote it. I think you're going to have a lot of these guys available and on the card as soon as next week. Now, as far as AEW signings, I think the only ones from this list that you are going to see show up in AEW is the Motor City Machine Guns. I think Kyrie might show up, but I think that will be through Stardom. Santos Escobar, I think you're going to see him in CMLL, which means he could also show up on AEW television. Zoe Stark, or Zoe Serrano as she's going by now, I think we're going to see her on GCW, maybe working her way back to where she is on the list. But as of right now, all these people are available. I think you're going to see the Wyatt Six on the convention circuit very soon. Who knows? They might continue as an act together. I think they will, but I don't know. I think you're going to see Aleister Black and Zelina show up in TNA. So that's kind of where I'm at on all this stuff. I don't see an Aleister Black return to AEW, especially the way that ended. I think you're just going to see those guys either on the independents which I mean, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black do very well on Twitch. So they could do the indies and the convention circuit and never even touch AEW television for the next year and still be fine. They could be fine without going to TNA. I think if they wanted to work GCW for the next year and rebuild their act together, I always leave out MLW. MLW is also an option for a lot of this talent. MLW has been doing great work, and their shows are on YouTube, and I think they're on another platform. They're on some television platform, but I don't remember where it is. But I know you can watch them every week on YouTube on Saturdays. So I would not be shocked if you see someone like I could see Zoe Stark going there. I could see Nikki Cross being in MLW. Like, there is options out there for these guys, and I think you're going to see them very soon. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw at least half of these people on a major television show next year. Like, I wouldn't be shocked by that. Now, not next year, next month, honestly. What I would like to see, and I'll talk about it a little bit, is what I have in mind for Kyrie and the Motor City Machine Guns. But I want to talk about that after I discuss the Redemption card. So this weekend is AEW Redemption. This is the first AEW Redemption card. They just added this pay-per-view a couple months ago. A lot of people was like, they're doing a July pay-per-view. And honestly, at the time I was like, why? And as of right now, I'm still like, why? I feel like the AEW Redemption pay-per-view is to kill time to get us to All In. All In is always the bank holiday weekend in it's usually the weekend for Labor Day. But it is the same weekend as Labor Day, because Labor Day is the 31st. All In takes place on the 30th from Wembley Stadium. But this show has to get us from June at Forbidden Door to August 30th for All In. So instead of just working it out on television, they added a pay-per-view in the middle. And I'm going to be honest, as far as AEW pay-per-views go, they always fucking kill it. I went into Forbidden Door being like, what's the fucking story? Watch the show, and it's like, who the fuck cares? That was awesome. There are stories coming into All In. I mean, all of our stories are leading to All In. All In is the Wrestlemania. It used to be All Out, but now I believe All In is the Wrestlemania of AEW. So you're leading to that big show. So some of these matches are kind of speed bumps to get us there, but at the same time, it's like, did we need them? So, I mean, is it cool that there's going to be another pay-per-view? Yeah, I mean, it's the pay-per-view model at AEW means they're going to fucking deliver. But it feels like this show was put together on 2 weeks' notice. And it's like, oh, well, ever since Kenny Omega won the title over MJF on television at Beach Break, it's been like, what do we do? That was our main event. How do we get something moving forward? And honestly, I think the reason why, and Tony Khan said one of the reasons they wanted to do that on television was to keep their TV partners happy. Like, to do big events there, doing a title swap. That's huge. So it gives Kenny Omega the title early. But the problem giving it to him early is, do you do the rematch with Max or do you find somebody else? Well, they did find somebody else. And I think the reason it honestly happened so early is Tony Khan said MJF has been banged up this year. He's had injuries. I think MJF is hurt. And I think that is why I think he wanted to get rested up, and I think they wanted to just do it early so that he had more time to be ready to come back for All In. Because if he had to wrestle next week, he would not be ready for All In, because That's 4 weeks until the next pay-per-view. Them doing it at Beach Break gave him like 6 to 7 weeks to get ready to be back for All In. I think they would rather have MJF at All In than be without MJF at All In and then have a pay-per-view match with Kenny Omega in Canada. That's my thoughts. I know there's been a lot of ticket resales in Canada once Kenny did win the title. They said there was a flood of resales of people being like, well, Kenny's not going to win the title there in Easton going. Ticket sales themselves hasn't been the greatest, but it's still going to be a big event in Canada. So let's break it down. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches on this card. I think we're not going to get any more. I think this one's actually going to be a non-start card. And the best thing about this pay-per-view, it starts at 7 p.m. 7 p.m., which means we should be done at midnight. There should not be no matches going on at 12:01. You're pushing it up an hour. If you're going to do the same amount of time you would normally do, you would normally end at 1 a.m., which is bullshit on the East Coast, especially on a Sunday. So if you're going to end it and do the same amount of time, at least end that show at midnight. So that is my hope for the length of this show. But let's get into the matches. I want to start with the AEW International Championship number 1 contenders ladder match. Man, that's a fucking mouthful. I think if you want to start this show hot, you do this ladder match first. I don't even know what they're grabbing because it's just the number 1 contendership. But you do this number 1 contender ladder match. I think if you start the show off with that, it's going to start off hot. Each person had to win their way in. You had currently in the match is Jack Perry, the Beast Mortos, Commander, Mike Bayley, and put some hands over your ears if you don't want to hear these spoilers. And Nick Wayne, who is going to win his match on Saturday. And last but not least, El Clone. So you have in this match two heels and 4 baby faces in this 6-person match. For the number 1 contendership, I think that the winner of this match is set up to be Mike Bayley. Now, where do I come from with that? Well, let's just go through the process of elimination. El Clone, as badass as he is not winning that title because he's not going up against Kyle Fletcher. Then you've got the Beast Mortos. Badass luchador, big dude, awesome in the ring, not going up against Kyle Fletcher. Commander is in this match because he's going to do some awesome lucha shit, and there's going to be some awesome flips, and it's going to be fun. But Commander is not a main eventer. He's not going against Kyle Fletcher. So and then next, Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne's just now getting back. He is still young. I don't see them giving him that push. So that eliminates Nick Wayne. So that gives us 2 names. Jack Perry, Mike Bayley. I wouldn't be shocked if either one of these guys win it. That being said, with the push that they are currently giving Kevin Knott, I believe Mike Bayley will win the International Championship number 1 contender ladder match to move on to go against Kyle Fletcher. That's a baby face versus a heel. It's a hot baby face, a white meat baby face versus a Don Callis family member. I think that's the way to go. Now, what I wonder is if this match takes place at All In, because if this match takes place at All In, that would be a good crowning moment for Mike Bayley. Now, if this happens on regular television, I think Kyle Fletcher keeps the title. Since we're already talking international title, Let's go to the AEW International Championship match between Kyle Fletcher and Bandito. If there's one thing I know about Bandito, is he's going to win every television match and lose every title match on AEW pay-per-view. You can write it down. It's gospel at this point. Bandito has yet to win when it matters, outside of winning the tag team championships. And oh yeah, let's not forget, he's also the Ring of Honor champion. I wonder when the last time Bandito defended his Ring of Honor championship. I guarantee you it hasn't happened this year, and if it more than once this year. I know it's happened once this year because he had a match against who did he have a match against? Blake Christian. But Bandito has not defended that. I don't think he's defended that Ring of Honor title at all this year. Why is he not showing up here? Again, is that him? Matches. No. I don't want El Bandito. I just want Bandito. Ring of Honor Championship. Let's just do it that way. I'm looking on Cage Match for the Ring of Honor champion. Fuck it. Anyways, what I'm trying to get at is if there's one thing we know that he ain't winning, because Kyle Fletcher doesn't win on, Bandito doesn't win on AEW pay-per-views. Let's see. Oh, there's my matches. I wish I could just do, can I make it by Ring of Honor? Career 2026 Ring of Honor. In 2026, he has defended his title. Oh, he's defending it more than I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It's the end of July. 4 times. Those times that he has defended it 4 times since May. Before May, he had not defended his title it's 6 times. Sorry. 6 times. He did 1 match in January, then didn't have another one until May. Excuse me, sir. If you are going to be the Ring of Honor World Champion, you should defend the Ring of Honor World Championship. More than that, you should do it on AEW television. You should do it on Ring of Honor. Like, defend your fucking title, man. Like, that's one of my biggest pet peeves in AEW is everybody who has a title thinks they need to go for another title. And that's going to happen. We're going to talk about that a lot tonight. But yeah, I think Kyle Fletcher is going to defeat Bandito because Bandito cannot win for some reason on such a big card. If it's for an AEW title that's not with Brodito, it's like he can't win. And I don't understand, if you're going to keep doing this, maybe put Brody King in that spot, because Brody can eat the loss, but he's not the Ring of Honor World Champion. Like, it makes Ring of Honor look bad when your Ring of Honor champion doesn't fucking win big matches. Up next, we got the AEW national title, not to be confused with the international title. We got Mark Davis going up against Andrade El Idolo. I think Andrade is going to go ahead and win this one. I could have, in a perfect world, Andrade would go through and defeat every member of the Don Callis family, and that still might happen. But I think you got to strap him up. If you're going to make him a big deal and you're going to have 127,000 belts, give him one of them and let him do work. That's my, if you're going to have these titles, one, they should be defended on pay-per-views, and two, big names should have them. I think Andrade is proven himself since coming back that he should be an AEW world champion someday, but let's start by giving him the national title and work from there. Up next, I want to go to the no disqualification, no holds bar, Chris Jericho the Painmaker versus Tommaso Ciampa. This is going to be the saddest match for me because if you know AEW and you know Chris Jericho, you know that Chris Jericho does not lose as the Painmaker. The Painmaker does not lose in AEW. Therefore, that means Tommaso Ciampa will not win this match. They had a great match at Beach Break, and Tommaso Ciampa won it. And I knew when Tommaso won that match, that means, fuck, we got to do this again. It doesn't, and I get it. Like, Chris Jericho's a huge name, so people's going to want to see him still for some fucking reason. Like, I was a huge Chris Jericho fan when he first got to AEW, but the longer he's been here, the more I'm like, you can go back to WWE and it wouldn't hurt my feelings, son. But he's here for the long haul. He's here probably for the rest of his career. And he's got to do the Hogan effect. If he gives you a win, he's got to get that win back. And that's where he's going to get it back, is out in this no DQ match. There's going to be a lot of blood. In the lead up to this, they showed a shit ton of footage from the Nick Gage match. I wonder if that means Jericho's going to use glass again. I hope not. Like, I don't need to see a death match like that on AEW television. But if you're going to stand out, that's a way of doing it. He's going to pick up that win. They're in Canada. Tommaso Ciampa's getting beat, unfortunately. Another very important match on this card. One I don't understand, but I want to talk about. You got the Death Riders of Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley taking on the Young Bucks. And I get you're showing dysfunction between Will Ospreay and the Elite. And it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow till we get to All In. But what I don't understand is who's eating this pin. You need Will Ospreay cannot lose going into All In, especially to the Young Bucks. Unless if Jon Moxley eats that pin. But the Young Bucks, in my thoughts are with the Young Bucks is they keep showing up whenever Cope and Christian are on screen with the titles. I think the Young Bucks will be in a 4-way ladder match at All In. Cope and Christian, the Young Bucks, Motor City Machine Guns, and the New Day. I'm putting that out into the ether. If you want to replace Motor City Machine Guns with FTR, not going to hurt my fucking feelings. But that's what I think is going to happen. I think you're going to get those guys at All In. But the Young Bucks need to pick up wins. And they need to pick up wins on pay-per-view. So are you really going to have the Young Bucks defeat Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley? I'm leaning toward a disqualification. I think there's going to be some fuckery and nobody wins this match. That way everybody looks good. But if there's not going to be, I think Moxley is going to eat that pin and the Young Bucks are going to win. Because I mean, why would Will Ospreay needs this win? But if Jon Moxley takes the loss, then it really don't matter. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm going disqualification. Nobody wins this match. Another badass match on this card. We got the Bullet Club Gold, aka the Bang Bang Gang of Jay White and Juice Robinson taking on the Dogs, This is going to be a badass New Japan style match. We got 4 guys straight out of New Japan in a double chain match. That means one guy's chained to another's wrist and the other guy's chained to another's wrist. You're going to get the chain cross and you're going to get all kinds of badass shit. I'm excited for this. Now, they don't do the dog collar match anymore because one of the greatest dog collar matches of all time, well, 2 of the greatest have already happened in AEW. You had CM Punk versus MJF, but you have in Ring of Honor FTR versus the Briscoes. And since the passing of Jay, you don't really see much of the chain dog collar match. So it's a chain match, and I'm perfectly cool with that. I think because Jay White and Juice Robinson have most recently returned, I think you're going to get a Jay White and Juice Robinson win over the Dogs. Would it surprise me if the Dogs won? No, it would not, because it's a chain match. It's a no disqualification. Means we could get the return. God, what is his name? He's the 3rd member of the Dogs. Members. We could get the return of Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd's visa must be worked out because he's been doing stuff in New Japan. He is in the G1, so that means that we might not get him, but it's possible. And if he comes back, I could see the Dogs winning because I could see some form of Jay White, Juice Robinson versus the Dogs at All In. Or, and this could happen anyways, even if Jay White and Juice get the win, I think we're going to see David Finlay versus Jay White, Bullet Club leader versus Bullet Club member at All In. I still think it's going to be Jay and Juice win this one, but if it's the Dogs, I wouldn't be that shocked. We also got the TBS women's, the AEW TBS Championship, aka the women's TV title, on the line between Hikaru Shida and Maya World. Now this is where I'm going to toss them, because Shida just won the title, but Maya World has been so fucking hot since the Owen Hart tournament. And the match that Maya and Mercedes had, I think you could strap up Maya World right now, and I could see Maya World defeating Hikaru Shida, and that's going to be my wild card match. I think Maya World's going to defeat Shida. Now, if not, I could see Shida setting up something with Stat, though I'm over that. But if Maya World gets the title, you got so many new options and so many matches that you could have on television. She's a fresh face. She's a baby face. You could set up her versus her coach Athena. Like there's options there. If Maya World doesn't win this title, and I think if you lose this one, you really shouldn't be eligible for the other one. But if she doesn't beat Hikaru Shida, I think Maya World is going to be who defeats Athena for the Ring of Honor title. Now, if you want to do something fucking cool and you want to 2-belt somebody, you have Maya World defeat Shida at Redemption, and then have Maya World defeat Athena at All In. Because this whole show is booking us to All In. This is the last pay-per-view before All In. So that is why I think we're going to get a lot of these big matches with finishes that are predictable to get us to All In. Next up, we got the AEW World Championship match. This match makes no fucking sense. This is a television match. There was no reason to put this on pay-per-view other than the fact that you wanted to have Cope and Christian there in Canada. You got Cope and Christian versus Pac and Claudio Castagnoli. Christian and Cage, Cope and Christian, Edge and Christian, they're going to win this match. There is no ifs, ands, buts about it. Cope and Christian will defeat Pac and Claudio. One, Pac and Claudio never fucking win together as a team. Two, they're not carrying the titles in. Like, this is the one that I'm like, man, this should have been on television if you wanted to do this match. I really thought it would be the Dogs, honestly. Like, if the Dogs didn't have this match with Jay White, it would have made so much more sense to have the Dogs versus Cope and Christian, not Pac and Claudio versus Cope and Christian. I could even see the Dogs interfering, and that's how they got to this match. I mean, let's face it, because the Dogs are like somewhat members of the, I wanted to call them the Blackpool, but they're not even that anymore, the Death Riders. So that's how we got to this match, is the Dogs are busy with Jay White and Juice Robinson. So let's just throw in Pac and Claudio just because we're on pay-per-view and we got to have the titles on pay-per-view. No women's titles. The women's titles were on television last night, or on Wednesday, not on then. That's some vicious L8. So yeah, that's where I get like, what the fuck are we doing when it comes to this Cope and Christian match? Because we know that we're stalling, and we couldn't do the Young Bucks now because they want that match. There's no way. Like, I could see the biggest tag team match setting up for the tag team future for the next year. It's at All In. If it's not at All In, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. Maybe at All Out, because they need a big match for that, and I'll talk about why in a minute. But I think you're going to have, I don't know, Cope and Christian, they're winning this match. Then you got the two headlining main event matches. You got the Women's World Championship between Tekla and Willow Nightingale. I think Willow Nightingale is going to defeat Tekla for the AEW World Championship to carry it into All In. As much as I love Tekla right now, I think the money match for Tekla is against Kyrie. I think they should, and because Tekla just won the women's trios titles in Stardom, I want her to go over there and run fucking Rampage, and the person who has to save Stardom is Kyrie, original Stardom girl who's come back to Stardom after being in the big time, and that gets Kyrie on AEW at All In. Then you got Tekla versus that, because if Tekla's out of the World Championship picture, you got to have something relevant. And right now, it's more interesting. Her story going against Stardom is more interesting than anything she's doing on the roster. So, as much as I love her and I wish she could hold on to the title, Willow Nightingale was going to beat her for the title at All In. So let's just go ahead and get it over with. And let's just let Willow lose that title to Mercedes and let Mercedes hold it for a while. Willow will get the title back. But I would rather Willow go ahead and get this win and pass it to Mercedes, and then we can have more matches between them moving on. Because I think it's better for business for Mercedes Moné to be carrying that title, especially if old Aunt Pam's going to show up, and we'll talk about that later. And then we got the main event match between Kenny Omega and Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight, by the way, is the TNT champion. Why do I bring that up? Because this is another champion versus champion match. That's someone who should be defending their title on this fucking show, not going for the world title. And let's talk a little bit more about why, as much as I like Kevin Knight, why Kevin Knight shouldn't be in this spot. Kevin Knight's like, well, MJF promised me this match. Well, MJF's not the champion. Before that, Kevin Knight just lost a world championship match to Darby Allin. So he's good enough to beat Darby Allin for the TNT title, but he's not good enough to beat Darby Allin for the world title. Make it make sense. This is the one AEW card that I have the most like mind fuck. I don't understand what they're doing. I know since MJF didn't pass the title to Kenny here, you had to do something different. And they had to pivot. But could you have not pivoted to someone who didn't have a title, who's hot as fuck right now? Like, how badass would it have been Kenny Omega versus Tommaso Ciampa? How about Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo? Something they've been teasing that Andrade would be the world champion. Kenny Omega versus anybody who's won 3 matches in the last month. But instead we get Kenny Omega versus a member of the Don Callis family. And honestly, I could see the Don Callis family turning on Kevin Knight and that being why he loses the fucking match. So that's frustrating. As I mentioned earlier, these free agents are able to show up on this pay-per-view. So if you want to set up something big for All In, this is your chance to do it. AEW Redemption debuts like crazy could happen. Again, I think you're going to get the Motor City Machine Guns debut next week. If the Motor City Machine Guns do not debut Wednesday, they are going to debut on Sunday. And if they do it on Saturday, they're fucking morons. Because why would you debut such a hot group, such a good group on Collision? I don't think they're going to do that. I could see them popping in on. The reason I think you may see Motor City Machine Guns at Redemption first is to give them a match in Detroit. But if you're not going to do that, you're just going to get the free pop in Detroit and possibly have a match on Collision. So that is AEW Redemption. Throw it in the comments who you think should win these matches. I'm going to go through these from the top to the bottom in order that they're on my screen of who I think is going to win again. I think you're going to get Kenny Omega defeat Kevin Knight. I think you're going to get Willow Nightingale defeat Tekla. Cope and Christian over Pac and Claudio. Kyle Fletcher over Bandito. Andrade defeating Mark Davis. I'm going My World over Sheeta. I'm going Jay Watt, Juice Robinson over the Dogs. I'm going Mike Bayley wins the number 1 contenders match. Jericho over Tommaso Ciampa in the no holds bar match. And I'm going Young Bucks over Will Ospreay and John Moxley, with John Moxley eating the pin. The buy-in show is a celebration of wrestling in wherever the fuck they are. I think it's Montreal. So I don't think you're going to get any pre-show matches. There might be. But as of right now, that's where I'm standing at on that card. Let's transition a little bit to, we all know where this is taking us to. It's taking us to All In. Everybody's excited for that. But what happens after All In? Well, then you got All Out. And All Out takes place. Come on now. All Out takes place in Chicago at the Now Arena on September the 26th. Currently, the show is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Cool. That's been like that for a while. But if there's one thing we know, if AEW sets a pay-per-view, WWE is going to counter-program it. They're counter-programming anything and everything they do. But they've never counter-programmed them to this level. While WWE will be while AEW will be with All Out at the Now Arena, formerly known as the Sears Center, a building that has a plaque outside for breaking the record for the original All In with Cody, the Bucks, and Kenny Omega. WWE is going to be holding Worlds Collide not in another city, not in downtown Chicago, 15 minutes away at the Allstate Arena they're going the same day, the same time with Worlds Collide. And normally it's NXT versus AAA Worlds Collide. This one is being billed as AAA and WWE Worlds Collide. Last year's Worlds Collide took place. That's where Dominic won the world title. Now, what do I think is going to happen on this card? It's smart to bring a lucha show of AAA to Chicago, but I don't think they're going to fuck with AEW. I think you're going to have a huge AEW show. I think they're going to be sold out, and I think they're going to be ticketing the Allstate Arena. And the reason why I say that is that's a huge ass arena. It's the bigger arena with the smaller show. Now, that being said, it is a lucha show. I think they're going to load that fucking lucha show up so big with former WWE names. I wouldn't doubt you get a Lucha Bros match. If you don't get a Lucha Bros match, I think you're going to get... You're going to see Rey Fenix on that card. You're likely to see Penta on that card. They're in Chicago. You're probably going to see CM Punk on that card. Will he have a match? Probably not, but you'll probably see him. You're definitely going to have El Grande Americano on that card. Like, they go head to head like crazy. Last month, they went head to head with Forbidden Door with Great American Bash. But never have they went and made fans choose. Are you going to see AAA or are you going to see AEW? AEW is the hotter show. AEW is the bigger show. Because it's AAA, not NXT, and not WWE. Now, every time they love to counter program that shit against them. But the fact that they're doing it in the same city. And the reason AAA going there is such a big deal is the population of Chicago is 29% Latino. So you're going to have that Spanish speaking community who's most likely, or not most likely, but is likely to be a strong lucha community. And where are you going to put that show at? Right in their fucking yard. I think this one is the dirtiest thing WWE has ever done, but the smartest shit they've ever done as well. So definitely shocked on that one. Like, usually they do some crazy shit. Like I said, they put Bash at the Beach. Great American Bash up against Forbidden Door. I don't know. I don't think they're going up against them unless there's a lucha show. There might be a AAA show this weekend, but I don't think that's going up against them. But the fact that they are going head to head once again, but this time in the same city, bringing out the luchadors, bringing out the big name. Like, if you don't see every person who hates AEW on that show, I'll be fucking shocked. Like I said, it would not shock me a bit to see Danhausen show up on that fucking show. Like, anybody who's been wronged by AEW in a fuck you show, I wouldn't doubt it. Now, will I watch that? Yeah, the next day. So, but I don't understand these head-to-head matches. Usually with Worlds Collide, they're put on fucking YouTube. So you're going to have a pay-per-view versus a free show on YouTube. This is the most Jim Crockett versus WWE shit I've ever seen in my life, and Tony Khan lives for it. He's like, yeah, that means I'm doing something right. Speaking of something right, we still don't know when WrestleMania is, but we do know that they plan on doing watch parties around the U.S. that weekend. One of which will take place at the Madison Square Garden Theater each night. One night you're going to get AAA Eternal Glory, and the next night you're going to get NXT Stand and Deliver. You're going to get not one event, but two events in New York City, while the main roster is in Riyadh And it's funny because they will not give that fucking date. By this time, we always know when Mania is going to happen. Mania is an expensive trip. People that want to go on vacation use it as a way to do it. But WWE is holding this date so close to their chest because they believe that Tony Khan and AEW are planning to have a significant presence in the United States, according to WrestleVote Radio and Fightful Select. They are saying that WWE is so fucking worried about them counter programming them, which is fucking hilarious, that they're worried about them counter programming that they won't even give out a date. And then it's like, well, there's rumors that AEW might run a show in in New York during Mania. So what do? AEW runs 2 shows in New York at Madison Square Garden just to make sure that AEW cannot get in that building. Like, it's crazy, but genius all at the same time. Like I said, they're going to be doing events all across the country, watch parties for people who can't get out to watch it because they got to find another way to make money. They're going to put them on these big LED screens in all these like venues and shit. And they do it all the time. And they send like WWE talent that's not normally on the show. But if you're going to get to watch WWE at the Garden in a watch party, and then as soon as that's over, bam, you got Eternal Glory starting. And then the next night you do the same thing again and you got NXT Stand and Deliver. That's a big deal. But is it as big of a deal? Is it a big enough a deal to get people to travel to New York for that? I do not think so. One, there's a reason they're in the theater and not in the Garden. They don't have the faith to run that there. They are smart enough not to run that there. So I think you're going to get a huge Fanatics Fest going on with that in New York, as a way to get more people into New York City and away from wherever WWE goes. My thing is, should AEW go ahead and run? I don't know. Is a big AEW stadium show on the same day as Mania smart? Well, Mania is going to take place during the day, so you could run it at night. You're not going to run a 2-night show. Do you want to go against night 1 or night 2? I think if you're going to do it, whatever night you choose, they're going to load up to make even bigger. So I think Tony could run a stadium show. I don't think he's running one in New York now. I think if he's going to run a stadium show in the U.S., it's going to... I don't know where they would run it in New York, because your options are running it in New Jersey, which is New York basically, at Meadowlands. You could run Yankee Stadium. I don't see that happening. It's in April. They're playing baseball. You've got the Met Stadium you could run. You could do Arthur Ashe again, but how big of a deal is that? Not very. But there are places you can run in New York. Or I think if you're going to run a big stadium show and you're going to run NFL stadiums, why wouldn't you fucking run it in Florida, in Jacksonville? If you're going to run a big show like that, run that motherfucker in your own stadium in Jacksonville. Why not make it a huge event? Jacksonville's your home. Jacksonville's where you survived COVID. Go back to fucking Jacksonville if you want to do something like that. If you were going to run New York and WWE wasn't running those shows, that would have been a bigger deal. The reason I say this is wherever AEW decided to run is where WrestleCon would go. It's where the fans will flock, because wherever WrestleCon is, wherever the collective is, like, those are things that are tied to WrestleMania. And you lose one, you lose them all. Honestly, I think you're going to have WrestleMania events take place more at Royal Rumble than you are at WrestleMania this year. I think you're going to get WrestleCon at the Rumble. I think you're going to get the collective at the Rumble. I think those things are going to be moved up to January as opposed to doing them in April. So that's my thoughts on that. I do think it's funny though that they think that they're going to run against them so bad that they're like, fuck you. We're just going to run Madison Square Garden so that you can't run Madison Square Garden. And it's smart. Another thing that WWE has done to make sure they control the narrative even more. WWE and SiriusXM Radio have announced the launch of WWE Radio, the official audio home of the WWE, which starts on Monday, the 27th, which is this coming Monday. They will take over what I'm assuming used to be 24/7 Wrestling or whatever it was, the channel that was ran by Dave LaGreca. Because not only are you getting Busted Open Radio on there, you're going to get the Not Sam podcast on there. You're going to get the Cheap Heat with David Rosenberg there. You're going to get the Natty show there, off the rope, like all these, and Busted Open After Dark. All these shows that have been going for a while will take place on the radio. You're also going to be moving over the podcast there as well. I don't think the podcast is going to leave YouTube because YouTube's such a bigger platform for these, but if you can add it to a radio station and take time away from the other companies, like Busted Open traditionally used to talk about AEW, Busted Open used to talk about TNA, Busted Open used to talk about all these other companies, not when they're going to be under the WWE umbrella. So all these shows that used to talk about more things other than just WWE, they're WWE shows. So if there's one thing that they love to do, it's control the narrative. If you're writing about them, let's partner with them. Let's make sure they talk good about us. Oh, ESPN used to do ratings and they weren't great for us. Well, now we're with ESPN. They got to stop doing the ratings. SiriusXM. Oh, they're already talking wrestling every day. Oh, they're talking about other companies too. Let's stop that shit. Like, it's kind of slowed down a lot anyways, because Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray and all those guys have been coming to WWE fan events for a while. And they've slowly stopped doing more and more AEW talk. And now that's going to stop altogether. My last topic of the week, Bayley. Bayley got defeated by Lyra Valkyria at Saturday night's main event in what looked like and could be her final match in WWE. You had Lyra not only beat Bayley, but then destroy Bayley after the match in significant fashion. So I think she's either going to be taking a long hiatus or Bayley is gone from WWE. There are speculations that her contract could be up as early as the fall, but most likely is going to end in 2026. That Bayley will not have a contract in 2027 with the WWE. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be a deal signed. That means there currently is not a deal signed. Bayley has currently, it is believed by several real sports agents and everyone that Bayley will test the free agent market. And I think that's the smartest thing she can fucking do. Because Tony Khan is going to be writing that paycheck. He's going to have a blank check ready to go. I mean, the fact that he could have Mercedes and Bayley, two of the four horsewomen under his belt, sign me up. I think Bayley's done everything there is to do in the WWE. I think it's kind of like Natalya had done everything she could do in the WWE. Now, this is going to be an important contract for the WWE and talent moving forward. And the reason the Bayley contract is going to be so important is Bayley sees how things are working. Could she try and issue a no-cut contract? I don't think that's something that the WWE is willing to do. I don't think TKO is willing to put a no-cut contract in there. I also don't think they're willing to do a guaranteed contract where I leave, I still get all this money. Those are two things that have been rumored to be discussed. I think Bayley is going to be, by January, in AEW. Could she stay in WWE? That's very possible. They could work something out. She could be a lifer. But I honestly don't think so. Some of the reasons I don't think so is the availability of the schedule that she would have if she worked in AEW. I think she would have more time to do her camps that she likes to do to develop more independent talent. I think she would have more opportunities to do signings, which would bring in probably $30K a pop. You do fucking 5 of those a year, that's $150,000 extra money. All you got to do is sign your fucking name. Like, I think there is so many opportunities out there for Bayley that if she doesn't at least test the free market, she's stupid. And I don't think she's stupid. I think she's very smart, and I think she's going to test that market. And I think that we're going to see Bayley at least explore her options. But I personally think we're going to see Bayley in the WWE. I mean, in AEW come January of this next year. But that's all we got for this week. Always try and keep you to an hour. We're right around that hour mark. So I want to thank everybody, like I said, for sticking around. If you've lasted this long, please hit that like button, hit that thumbs. Those help us so fucking much. If you're not, subscribe. It's free. It costs you nothing to subscribe. And also hit that notifications bell so you know when we're live again. We have a lot coming up. As you know, we've got the Super Bowl of Wrestling coming up August the 22nd. I've been getting messages throughout the show of people that we're going to try and get on. So hopefully we can get them on in the next couple weeks. They may be separate episodes, kind of like the Kyle Maggard interview. If you haven't listened to the Kyle Maggard interview, what the fuck are you waiting on? Go check that out. It's on the main page. So we got a lot going on, and we are excited to see where this fall's going to be going. And we're excited to be talking next week. Next week, we will be talking about SummerSlam. So this week, you got the predictions for Redemption. Next week, SummerSlam. So next week's going to be another big show. Maybe a guest. Most likely a guest. Hopefully a guest. Hopefully we have Bob France on next week, even if it's not for the whole show, for a little bit of the show. So I'm really excited to see where we're going in the next couple weeks. If you haven't got your tickets yet, like I said, Super Bowl of Wrestling, amwrestling.com for more information on that. You can check us out on our social media at RSRG Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And we're at RSRG Entertainment on Facebook. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being around, and we will see you next week.